Hello. Welcome. Before we start, Jack would like to open with a invocation or a word of prayer. So, Jack, come on and do.
Okay. Thank you. Do I need to come up there?
Yeah, just go.
Well, hello everyone. I see a lot of friends and cherished people in my life, and I know that we're here to celebrate Larry and his stories. So I know how significant you are to him, and this is just a wonderful thing. So I want to give thanks to our eternal God, our Heavenly Father, before I ask for blessing. I find myself always running to Him in need, and He says to do that. He hears our cries and our pleas, and He knows the inward meditations of our very deepest heart. He knows us before we're formed in our mother's womb. But I'm always going to Him and asking Him for blessing, but I want to thank Him. It's been a rough couple of weeks for our community and for me with my colleagues. And, God, I think, is working in me and been showing me a lot of things. And I'll try to be brief and share a little bit and then ask for God's favor on tonight and this group that we have gathered here and His blessing on it. That we could be edified by being together in fellowship and support each other and support Larry as his friend and show him love. And that we would be entertained and that we would have life joy in this gathering tonight. So I give thanks to God for these many blessings. Many of them we probably receive in our life that we're unaware of. And I thank you, Lord, for my heartbeat and for just the very breath of life. The simple things that we kind of move to the side in our pursuit of all of these worldly things that cloud us and quite honestly separate us from you too much and too often. So getting back to the heart of it, what I felt you speaking to me on and putting on my heart of late is we're to love you, God, first, because we love others better when we have the proper perspective and the proper order of things. We love others best when we love you first. Let us be nurturing and giving and humble, just as you showed us in Jesus Christ. Let us be soft hearts and gentle with one another. We have you, Lord. Ultimately, we only have you. But you've given us one another to minister to each other and to support each other and to love and to nurture each other. We're your, as they say, hands and feet. Let us be mindful of that. This world has grown darker and darker with the time as it goes by, and it just seems crazy. And we have more stuff and more technology and more communication, but we're separated in a significant way as a culture. We're more unhappy. Let us return to you and let us seek you in your word and obey it. Let us give you long obedience to show you our love. And let us give to one another in any way and every way that we can, that will show love and will reflect your light and glorify your holy name. I ask that you bless Larry. I ask that you bless our group of friends. Let us experience that life joy through enjoying time with Larry and Larry's stories, and watch over us. And we give thanks for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I was 10 or 11 years old. I was singing at the Candlelight Lounge in Sebring, the old Candlelight before the renovation. My mom and dad took me out there because I was 10 or 11 years old and I couldn't be out there by myself. And my mom pointed to this guy across the room with this bleached blonde hair who was the bouncer. And she said, "You see that guy over there?" And I said, "Yep." And she said, "Stay away from him. If he follows you into the bathroom, get out." And that was my introduction to Larry Johnson. And over the years, he's become a great friend and a great buddy and just an all-around really interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind, good guy. And without further ado, the one, the only, the inimitable Larry Junkyard Johnson.
And Harry, irreplaceable.
I want to say something about Jack, actually. If I can figure out how to get in here. Yeah. You're taller now. And much stronger. No, Jack, a lieutenant. He's actually lieutenant with a sheriff's department here, Highlands County Sheriff's Department, for a long time. And I met Jack. Well, I knew him from when we used to play at the college up there for the 5th grade, the DARE program. And thank you. And he come flying out of the ceiling up there, and I thought, look at that crazy guy. I couldn't do that, but he did it, and he did such a great job with that. But Jack and I became friends through Ed Lynch, who's sitting around here somewhere if he didn't leave yet. Somebody lock the door so people can't leave. But anyhow, it's Friday night, a busy night in Sebring, Florida. And we're going to do some Sebring history because Harry said, keep it on history. But I got, when I'm in the band, Harry told me what to sing and when to sing it. He can't tell me that here. I'm going to sing what I want to when I want to. But anyhow, not much singing, a lot of talking, a little bit of little music or whatever you want to call it. But anyhow, Jack and I met each other as friends on the golf course with Ed Lynch, who's sitting back there, and with his beautiful wife, Jeannie. By the way, I'll say about Ed Lynch, I introduced him and Jeannie. I love to tell this story. He used to tell it on the air. Ed Lynch. Ed, stand up a minute there. Can you stand? Jeannie, help him get up.
Whatever he's going to say is a lie.
So, all right, enough about it. No, I'm going to tell that story yet anyhow. I introduced him 112 years ago. I don't know how long ago, about 10 years ago. How many years, Jeannie? 8? Are you serious? 18 years? Gosh, I was just a kid at the time. And I introduced them, and they wound up getting married. And Ed has thanked me many times, and Jeannie wouldn't even speak to me, if that says anything about Ed Lynch. No, Ed Lynch, 35 years. He did so much for the youth on the radio show Sports Talk over many years. Janie, Carolyn, you've been guests of his, Jeff. I mean, everybody, a lot of people, everybody in junior sports, I think, pretty much had been on Sports Talk show at one time or another. And we had a beautiful farewell. I enjoyed that so much. Your whole family there. And my dog wouldn't come, or I would have had my family there. But anyhow, back to Lieutenant Bailey. We became close friends right about the time, and I guess a lot of people, most everybody here knows I've had a rough time of it, and I'm going through a rough time now with not chemo, thank goodness, but with radiation in the brain, and I didn't have a good sense to start with, so it hasn't helped me much there. Had a consultation yesterday, and I said, well, the guy was testing me, but he didn't think I knew he was testing me, because they got to cover themselves. They want to be sure that I'm not going crazy or something. And I told him, I said, did I pass the test? He said, you knew I was testing you? I said, yes. He said, well, I guess that answers my questions. You passed the test. But back to Lieutenant Bailey. Harry, that's not my good side. Unfortunately, neither is that one. But anyhow, Lieutenant Bailey and I became friends in August, and that's when I was first diagnosed with the big C. But anyhow, I just can't say enough about what a good friend he's been. He's been very supportive. We've had great talks, sometimes on the phone at night and in person, and on the golf course and all. And he'd drive me around on the golf course when I didn't even know if I want to be able to get in and out of the cart, but I did, and he supported me. And he took me to the hospital twice in Lakeland for operations that I didn't get that day, but he took off work and carried me there. So, Jack, thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming today. I knew that I was asking the right person to come and do this today for you. So thank you so much. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to show you I have a split personality. Miss Elaine White here brought me cookies, so I may just stop and eat some cookies along the way. No, anybody? Elson? Don't you?
I'm watching. I'm watching.
This isn't just a prop here. It's hope I don't blow that mic out in there. Oh, here it is. Not that I really probably need it. Harry tuned it, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, this looks easy, but it's not. You have to have a split personality to be able to do this. I'm going to play the harmonic and the guitar at the same time, right? I'm going to talk about my buddy over here later. Wow, Harry, good job. Whoops. I'm a little short. Hold your applause to the end of the show, of the program. So next I'm going to talk about how we're going to throw in some history here, which Harry demanded I do. All right, so I started out, I lived, if you go down this way about 2 blocks to the Nazarene Church and you turn to the right and go 2 blocks, you were at the home of Horton's Happy Hours. Some of y'all may have heard of it. As Martha Horton and her husband, Lee Horton, they had an older son, Galen, and a younger son. Everett was a couple of years older than I, 3 or 4 years old. And anyhow, my grandmother, Charles Agnes Gilbreth, she lived there at that corner, too, a catty corner from the kindergarten. And I was hanging out with my grandmother, and every now and then I'd go over there to the kindergarten, hang out with Everett. And some of the people that I hang out with there, Ronnie Sauls lived down on Mango. That's the younger brother of Gene Sauls, who just passed away last year, I think. And Julius Foster, who ironically came back out of the military after 22 years and worked in the county jail exactly where his house had been. His desk was right here where he had been sleeping when he was a kid. And up Rose Avenue was David Britton lived there. His father was a longtime minister at First Baptist Church at Sebring, Carson Britton. Anyhow, so we'd hang out and play cowboys and Indians and stuff. I always wanted to be the Indian because I'd rather get shot by a cap pistol as an arrow. So I was, even at that age, I was pretty smart about that. So I was hanging out there in the kindergarten one day, and Mrs. Horton, who, by the way, passed away at the age of 101 in Guatemala, Costa Rica, at a orphanage down there. What a woman! But she said to the class on a Friday, she says, everybody come in on Monday and do show and tell. So, and I said, Miss Horton, because I've been eyeing a little ukulele up there, a little thing about that big, hanging on the wall. And I said, Miss Horton, could I borrow that this weekend? And she looked, boy, she was a great educator and a nice woman, but she could give you an eye. She could give you a look. And so she says, what do you want it for? I said, I just want to borrow. She says, well, don't break it. Reached up there and got it and handed it to me. I went home. I don't think I even ate that weekend. I had never had an instrument in my hand in my life, and I learned to play Born on a Mountaintop in Tennessee. You know, Davy Crockett, getting all the wild frontier, or something like that. And I come in there, and the class went through, and they did all their stuff, you know, and butterflies and whatever. And so I said, when it got through, I said, Miss Horton, could I do something? And she says, well, I don't know, what do you want to do? And I said, well, could you hand me that ukulele again? So she did. And I did the Davy Crockett. She told that story quite a few times after that. She got a kick out of that. So my next version, well, Harry, you got to be in on this. Dr. Havery, sorry. But anyhow, credit. You know, that does not give homage to somebody like Dr. Eugene Binkson, who Dr. Theology, or Dr. Hollinger, Doctor of Education. But anyhow, Dr. Havery, I'm not sure of what. But he calls me Dr. Joihnson, so I don't know, you know. It's probably disrespectful to people who are doctors. Probably. Okay, I forgot where I was at. Where was I, Anna? Where was it?
You asked for the ukulele.
I asked for the ukulele again. Thank you, sir. He's still being a good friend. And so my brain is definitely not 100%, but I'm trying. I'll do the best I can, folks. But anyhow, so she reached up there and she gave it to him. I did that, and we got through with that. Now, my next experience was I became a member of a trio called the 3 in Key, and we definitely did not live up to our name. Everett Horton had a really nice high voice. I was there. Harry, where are you? Just stick your head out. Okay, the low voice in our 3 in Key was David Bollinger. No! I told you I was going to say that for you tonight. And how did he enter your life? And he's still going, by the way. He was a long-time career teacher at Sebring High School.
Well, I will do a stories from Sebring, and I will talk extensively about David Bollinger. We'll look for that in a further down the road edition.
Okay, I think he's the reason Harry.
He had 4 years of 9th grade biology.
I never did pass it, right?
And Mom called me from wherever I was with at the time. If Harry don't pass, he's not going to graduate.
That's another whole story. Tonight is Larry's.
No, that's just a tease. That's just a tease.
I think probably Mr. Bollinger was a great guy. He's retired now, but I think he probably could be possibly responsible for Harry getting out of there alive. Yeah, I remember the time he stole Coach Freeland's golf cart. But anyhow, and by the way,
Steal it, I borrowed it.
Jack, Harry, please innocent of all charges. So anyhow, we were I was at the 3 in Key, right? Is that where I was? Okay. So this is kind of funny. We got a gig down at the Brethren Church. Now, Brethren people are wonderful, wonderful people. I'm going to talk more about one in a minute here. But they're kind of stoic. and they're kind of like almost not Amish, but they're not ostentatious at all. Do we have any Amish in here? I don't know. I mean, great though. I mean, I don't mind wagon or riding a wagon. I did when I was a kid. But anyhow, we got a gig at the Brethren Church down there. It's different than they've rebuilt it, but in kind of down the basement area there. So we started playing Just a Closer Walk with Thee, Bam Bam Fram Fram, because I had a Silvertone electric by that time. Well, not too many people at that time had ever even heard an electric guitar. And when I frammed in that thing, and all them little old ladies went just like that, man. I mean, their eyes got that big around, and it's what in the world? But we got through the song, and we never got asked back. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to, let's see, where do I want to go from there? Okay. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I want to say something about the history of the Sebring Police Department, Sebring PD. When I was a little boy, I didn't live with her, but I stayed with my grandmother a lot there on Rose Avenue. I get bored in the evenings. Well, my uncle, Roy Earl Gilbreth, was the police chief, and Uncle Jimmy Hancock, who was not my uncle, he was old, but he was the honorary chief, and they would sit up in an old Ford car that wouldn't have outrun a turtle in heat. I mean, that thing was bad. And it had a siren that sounded like a turtle in heat. I don't know what a turtle in heat sounds like, but is that bad? Is that bad? Okay, so where was I? So one time I got up there, and I'd go sit in the back of the police car with Uncle Jimmy and shotgun and Uncle Roy behind the wheel. And I thought I was Elliot Ness, I thought I was a bad boy, But one time Uncle Jimmy wasn't there for some reason, so I was sitting up in the shotgun with Uncle Roy. And I thought I really was a big dog then. But there, right to there, and Terrell Morris had mentioned this not long ago, there was a phone box right there at where Mango goes right up to North Ridgewood there, and on your left there would be where the water department is now. Back then it was Bill Page's gas station. And by the way, where Dee's Restaurant is now used to be the Ford place back in the day. But we were sitting there, and Cecil Belcher's Taxi, anybody ever heard of them? Okay, he would be there too. He'd sit there a lot of times, and sometimes he would answer. But it was a locked box, and a little wooden box there. I don't know what Terrell Morse asked me whatever happened to it. I don't know what happened to it. I tried to find out, but I couldn't. But anyhow, also at that time, there were the whole police force, Sebring PD, was 5 officers and 1 broken down car. But anyhow, they were Uncle Roy Gilbreth, Uncle Jimmy Hancock, guy by the name of Billy Fowler, who, interestingly enough, he was over on Lemon one time on a Saturday night. He got shot 3 times, recovered, came back on force. Later on, a couple of 3 years later, he was on a traffic stop on north of the blinker light on North Ridgewood, got shot twice, recovered, came back on force. The third one was Shorty Long, whose real name was Long, and he really was short. So you can kind of derive where and the 5th one was Harry. The 5th one was Charlie Carnes. Now, Charlie Carnes' daughter was Wanda Carnes Whitehouse. She's the widow of Jimmy Whitehouse, longtime tax collector here in Sebring, the late Jimmy. And she is also, much to her chagrin probably, she is also Harry's landlady, Wanda Carnes. So Harry, pay your rent. So anyhow, so we're sitting up there one night. I'm in the shotgun. We get a call. There's a signal 4 out, somebody T8 out at Lakemont out there. Anybody remember the old Savon Drive-In Theater out there and all? And I spent a lot of Saturday nights there. Never did watch a movie. I'm not bragging, no. But anyhow, so we get a call. We go out there, that thing going like, and we're flying along there about 35. And we get out there. At that time, that railroad track was about that high. And this old boy coming from Avon Park, going south, he hit it and it flipped him, rolled him, and he got tore his vehicle to pieces. So we get there. Now, Uncle Roy carried a piece of solid lead pipe about that long, about that big. It took me 2 hands to pick the daggum thing up. Every time he got out of the unit, he would be playing with it and stuff. And he had a bad temper, and people would not mess with him. I'm telling you, he could walk down through the crowd on Saturday night, and where he walked, you could drive a semi behind him and not hit anybody. They got out of his way. At that time, everybody knew him in a small town. But we get out there, and this guy's standing there, and Uncle Roy says, I'll never forget it. I was about 8 years old, 9. He says, are you okay? And the guy says, yeah, I think so. But he was always, clothes were torn, his dirt flew all over. And Uncle Roy says, you sure you're not hurt? This guy said, no. He says, strip down to your underwear. I want to see if you're hurt or not. And the guy says, I don't think. So I said, strip down to your underwear. He took them off, and he wasn't hurt. End of that story. Okay. Please don't laugh. It throws me off. Francis, I didn't know you were here. And these 2 ladies right here, and this is Miss Davidson sitting to Francis. This is Frances McGee. When I was at my worst, I'd lost about 20-something pounds, and I was losing like a pound a day or close to it. They started feeding me. I no longer could eat fast food restaurant. The doctor had told me that if you don't quit eating all that, what's it called, MSG or something. I mean, that's all I'd done all my life pretty much after I left home. And those 2 ladies right there, I want to give them credit. I probably wouldn't be here without you 2. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. So thank you so much for all that you've done for me. And we'll talk about someone else here toward the end of the program that's not here with us anymore. Okay, you're probably wondering why she's sitting here. I want to say something about her too while I'm giving accolades. She knew me a little bit. Her grandmother, they live in our neighborhood. And she knew me, and I'd started giving her guitar lessons a little bit when I was diagnosed and all. And I just tell you, she's been there for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate her. She's been a spirit for me, and she gives me a reason to want to get well, to see her future. She told me at one time, when I don't remember, she said, she floored me with this one. She said, would you do me a favor? And I said, well, if I can, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be around. And she said, when I walk down the aisle, or she said, when I get married, would you walk me down the aisle? Yeah, that got me. So we're going to do her and I, we're going to do a short, and these songs are not going to be long, folks. We're going to do you need the mic more than I do. Here, because I can hear myself feeding all over the place. She's just going to do a small part on this one. I had a harmonica intro, but I can't remember what it was. Forgive me if it's wrong. Every afternoon, about 4:15, I would stop at Frank Cause's grocery store, this building right here. It would always be later than I'd think, but I really didn't need a drink. Sometimes I didn't have a dime. He'd say, pay me sometime. That's the kind of man he was. Some thought of him like Santa Claus. This old building, it will still stand. It's now the home of a rock and roll band. As good time music fills the air, Frank Close's spirit lingers there. That's Anastasia Marie McConnell, but known by me as Banana.
Bananastasia.
Sit down, Banana. She's just she is the youngest member, I think, of the adult choir at First Baptist Church. So she's coming along great. Her guitar's getting better and better. And Paul, I bet a lot of people don't know this guy here is a whale of a guitar player. This Lieutenant Bailey. Yeah. He won't let me hear him play. He just brags about how good he is. So I'm not real sure. And I do have to thank him for this. I wore this shirt in his honor tonight. He and I, a couple of weeks ago, went to Skinner. It's on their farewell tour, and he got me up there and got me back. And it was a great experience. And he bought this shirt, so I got to wear it, you know. But no, I wear it because everywhere I go, say, "Oh, you went to Skinner contest?" They're, Southern rock. They're the best there is, there ever was. And I wanted to say something about one time, Harry, you ready? One time, where was I? Okay, one time, Joe Coangelo, who was with the band here, drumming for a while, and a great guy. He has I think a wood shop or something on 27, and he noticed something in here, and he said, or Harry, did you mention it too? I don't know how it was, but it drew attention to a table. Okay. And so Harry, and a lamp, and so Harry said, I really like this and all, but I don't understand. And I would give anything in the world to know what this written underneath on the bottom of this table mean, or what it is.
Yes.
You got something you want to say?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. You're pretty close for the most part.
I am.
You were here, and Joe was here.
Yeah.
And because Joe was interested in woodworking,
Right.
I wanted to show him the craftsmanship of this table.
Correct.
Now, this table was given to me by Myrtle Ward,
Exactly.
who lived next door to me on Oak Avenue.
And she was the a daughter of Iva and Chalmer Barley. Don't
Yes.
forget that name, folks. It's coming up again.
So I wanted to point something out to Joe, that whoever made this table...
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, but I'm getting there. You're a wise guy. Whoever made the table had a habit of writing what kind of wood that he used
Yes, he did.
underneath.
Yes, he
And
did.
he also left his initials. So this was made out of Australian pine in September 1954, and the mysterious initials CB. And I said, I would love to know who CB is. And Larry said,
Chalmer Barley. Harry, let's show him the lamp too. This is how good this guy was. I had this lamp in my house for 100 years, and we got this the Chalmer Barley thing going on. Now, Mr. Barley would make these. I forget how many different kinds of wood in that lamp. Yeah. Show it to everybody. Good job. Yeah. So with that in mind, Big Dog, you ready? All right, here we go. This is so I wrote, with all this going on, I wrote an ode to Chalmer Barley. And I have another intro here, if I can remember what key I plays in it. This thing gets in my way, but that's the only way I can play it. That little old man across the street, he lived right across from me. He was kind, so gentle, so sweet. He only stood 5'2", but there wasn't much that little old man couldn't do. The years caught up with him. His eyes were growing dim, but his spirits never fell. He always had a smile. I remember it well. Get in the mic. And his name was Chalmer Barley. He never rode a Harley, but when it came to working with wood, he was very, very good. It's not supposed to be funny. Everyone remembers someone they met. They never seem to forget. And if there's one thing that's for sure, that little old man's memory will endure. And his name was Chalmer Barley. He never rode a Harley, but when it came to working with wood, he was very, very good. Yes, his name was Chalmer Barley. She just learned this yesterday. And I still haven't really totally learned it. I want to say something about the highlight of my, if you want to call it, musical career. One day, Dr. Hollinger and I were eating at our gourmet restaurant. It's a Burger King, actually. And, my version, my definition of any fancy restaurant is anywhere you pay a tip. But anyhow, we were out there eating, and Rodney said, Dr. Hollinger, sorry, he says, we're playing for Dr. Lydell's daughter Jennifer's wedding reception in Avon Park this Saturday. I said, okay, I love Dr. Lydell, and I know Jennifer from school. Tremendous athlete, and she was a combat helicopter pilot in Iraq. She's an amazing young lady. But anyhow, so, and he says, we're going to back up a singer's coming in. Dr. Lydell's bringing in a singer. I said, oh, okay, all right, good. Didn't think a whole lot about it, but he just never did tell you it. So you just sit there, and I thought, well, who is it? He says, Randy Owen. Well, I don't know how many people in here know Randy Owen, but if there's anybody I'd rather be on stage with rather than Elvis Aaron, would be Randy Owen, because he's from my hometown, the whole band, Alabama. That's Tar Top, the lead singer for Alabama, the all-time country music group. And I said, yeah, right, sure, because they knew what I thought about Randy. And so, sure enough, we're up there practicing up in Avon Park there where they're going to have the reception, and up drives the Alabama bus. I thought they were kidding me right up to the end. And that's Randy Owen coming in here. He walked over to TJ and everybody. Remember TJ? And he says to me, when he got over to me last, he says, this guy looks like he's been up for about 2 days. And I'm thinking, that's pretty much like the pot calling the kettle black, because he looked like he'd been up for a week. Didn't he, TJ? He did. So this is the song we did. I'm going to do one verse of it. And by the way, this is Marty and Russ Albritton's favorite song. I'm just going to do one verse of it, and you guys, you may remember it. Do you remember the song at all, TJ? Rodney? Who was the other guy? Who was the other? Oh, by the way, I'm so glad you said that, TJ, because it was basically a keyboard background and all, And Rodney and even Randy said, "Boy, you got a strong left hand." I'm thinking, well, I can play a guitar, but he didn't. But he didn't care. But anyhow, I wanted to tell him all night that, hey, I'm from Fort Payne. I want to say something about Fort Payne too. Yeah, I can tell this. When I was an infant type baby, like a little baby like that, in Fort Payne, I needed a heart.
Here we go.
Miss Davidson, could you take her with you now and go? So I needed a heart, and they didn't have one. So they put in a thumping gizzard out of a chicken. And that's why I can't love or hate. I don't have the ability to love or hate. But I'm going to do this song that Randy did with the band. And this is not a funny song, guys. He sang this to Jennifer and Jay, who, well, we won't go into that, but there's a story behind that. When there's age around my eyes, remember, and gray in TJ's hair, and it only takes a touch to recall the love we shared. I won't take for granted, my love is true, 'cause each night in your arms I will whisper to you, I will give you my heart, faithful and true, all the love it will hold, that's all I can do. I thought about it, how long I love you. It's only fair that you know, forever's as far as I'll go. Bring back any memories, TJ? Yeah. Eat your heart out, Randy. They don't tour anymore, but it was great. Okay, let's see now. Harry, I'm sorry, I'm not being historical. Hysterical, but not Oh, yeah. Anna, will you get that picture for me? Banana. Yeah, that's a picture of our band. Go, if anybody wants to look at it, I don't know. That's Randy and me standing behind him going, that's Randy Owen. I'm on stage with Randy Owen. It's, my daddy never cared for my music. My daddy could not carry a tune in a 50-gallon bucket. And my mother couldn't either, but she tried, and she well, wow. But anyhow, the only time he was ever proud of me when I brought that picture home, I said, because, we're all from Fort Payne, and he says, is that Randy Owen in there? I said, that's Randy Owen. He says, well, what are you doing standing behind him? I said, not much. Because I was pretty quiet, because it was mostly a keyboard song. But my daddy, who's my hero, one time, about 1912, we were at home there on Weigel Avenue. It's Saturday night, 7:30 on a Saturday night. None of y'all, Ed, you might remember. Hey, listen, Ed, you're not listening. And so pay attention, or else you're going to have to buy a ticket. But anyhow, so we're there on 7:30, and the Tommy, Jimmy, Dorsey Brothers stage show. Anybody ever heard of that? And this guy comes on there, and he's dressed in a pink shirt and black slacks and long hair and all. And he went, that's all right, Mama. And he just started blah, 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 and all going, And my dad said, look at that fool. He's crazy. We'd never heard of him, and we didn't know who he was. And so I said, and I was just mesmerized. I was just frozen for the whole song. Never heard anything like that in my life. And after it was over, I said, well, Pop, you're going to hear from that fool again. Who was it? It was Elvis Aaron Presley. All right, so that was the start of my liking Elvis Presley. I want to say a little bit about some of the... See, back in the day, there was no Highway 27. This is historical, not hysterical. All right, so you could go around Lake Jackson, but it was a broke-up black asphalt road, and it was in really bad shape and all. But there was no Highway 27. There was no Highway 98. The way you went from Sebring south to north or north to south is you come, it's all State Road 8. You came down by the Savon Theater, you came down across the Lakemont, it's called, out there close to where you live, Eugene. Is it still called that? Lakemont area. Yeah, Lakemont area. And then you come down and you come to the blinker light on North Ridgewood. You came down North Ridgewood. You had two choices. You could make a semicircle around the circle and go south on Ridgewood and go down past the old Tropical Bank on the right. And you would go into Lakeview Drive and go down to the hotel and take the left, go all the way, or you could take a three-quarter circle and you could go down to Highlands Avenue there on South Crummers, which we're on right now, and you could go down to the red light at where the high school is now at Kenilworth and Highlands, and then you headed out toward the track, and you would get out there where if you turn left, you go into Moon Ranch Road, thrown around past the Whitaker curve on down there, and about halfway to the track, and you would go to the right and go over the little hills and the curves and go around Red Beach Lake, and then you go where Highway 98 is now for about 1.5 miles or 2 miles, and then you would veer off to the right, go by where the forestry tower is now, and head south. And that's the only way you could get from north to south or south to north in Sebring at that time until they built the highway there. But I want to go back a minute, if I may. I wrote a little bit of song about my daddy and Elvis. It's very short, Ed, so don't leave. 1977, a long time ago, Elvis went to heaven to sing at his show. I remember Elvis Presley, first time I saw him on TV. I remember my daddy saying he was crazy. Yeah. Okay, I see I'm about out of material here. What's the other song we were going to sing? How long have we been doing it? Oh my gosh, it's 10. We've been here 50 minutes? Where did the time go? You better remember it. Okay, we don't want to end on a somber note, but we lost a member of my family this week, and Miss Francis's sister, Peggy Gilbreth Peck, who was a wonderful poet. She wrote a lot of beautiful poetry. Yeah, Larry's Lament, and she just had a way with words. And she passed away a couple of days ago. And Anna was very close with her. Anna loved her, and she loved Anna. And you wanted to say something? Did you? Come on up and say it. Say what you want to say.
I really wanted to dedicate the song that we're gonna sing to her because it was actually her words that she wrote.
She wrote it.
And it's really touching.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Well, you need the mic more than I do. We're only going to do a couple of tags in one verse. Help me. What's the first words? I remember I got a radiation going on. You forgot?
Yes.
You forgot? You sure you forgot?
I was afraid this would happen.
I might just be testing you. Well, we did. We recorded that. Well, that sounds much better. We'll sing it with them. You want to sing it with that? Well, when I walk God's golden pathway, I don't know that verse. When heaven is that's my home, familiar places I have known, no longer will I roam. Don't mourn for me, but miss me. This was written for Mrs. Hancock. Just smile and kneel in prayer. Jack Hancock's. I'll be close by, for love goes on, a trade we all can share. I love you, Lord, trust you. I long to see your face while kneeling in your presence. I see forgiving grace. By faith you too can take the road that I have surely trod. Forgiveness seek and truth to speak, but leave the rest to God. With the hues of changing sunset, you too can trust the power of Jesus Christ who saved us in his last redeeming hour. I love you, Lord, and trust you. I long to see your face while kneeling in your presence. I see forgiving grace. I leave you with the hope and grace of written words that say, please believe in Jesus, always living life his way. Let your memories be in a happy place, no tears should there be shed. For where I've been and where I've gone, our Christ for me has led. I love you, Lord, and trust you. I long to see your face while kneeling in your presence. I see forgiving grace. I see forgiving grace. I see forgiving grace. Thank you, folks, for being here tonight, and thank Harry for allowing Jack and everybody, and Ed and Gene and everybody that came, Eugene. I don't know if I covered everything, but we said about an hour, and it's been an hour just about. So thank you, Harry. And
Absolutely. Thank you, Larry. I have a couple of things to say real quick, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
I do not get mine.
Okay. Rodney called me one day. It was one night. It was 1986, 1987. He said, me and Larry are going out to Golden Corral. You want to go? I said, sure. Come pick me up. So they came and picked me up, and we went out to Golden Corral. And I ordered food, and Rodney ordered food. Larry ordered a glass of water. And our food came out, and Larry took his glass of water. He got a couple of lemons out of the salad bar. He squeezed it in his water, put some free sugar in, made him some lemonade. And then he took some crackers from the salad bar and buttered them with butter and made himself some little butter crackers.
Okay.
And that's what Larry had to eat when the three of us went to Golden Corral. Would you like to share a Larry story? Because I know you got them. No, I'm trying to forget. TJ, you got anything? Anyone else have a? Eugene, I know you have one. Ed, I know you have one. Peter, I know you've got one for sure. Well, come on up.
Just love him, man. He's a great guy. Larry is
one of my best friends.
Larry is very good with his money. Okay, and he's Blue Streak Blue, man. He is Blue Streak Blue. And back in the day, in the tennis days, the Highlands County Tennis Ladder and all that stuff, he got a deal on some Nike shoes The only problem was they had the red stripe on instead of the blue stripe on.
Okay.
So he buys the shoes and he gets spray paint. Remember the spray paint? And he spray paints the red, blue, and wore them for a couple years.
Oh, about 6.
About 6 years, yeah.
These shoes I got on right now came from Sebring High School, and they're a good 6 years old. So I wanted to tell a real quick. Harry, can I tell a one about Eugene and Harry Havery? One time, Harry and I, we had gone to some nursing homes and done some music, and we were in Avon Park in a nursing home, and the lady had asked Harry, her mom was in there, and she had asked Harry if he'd come in and do some music for the lady there. So we're in there. We run into Dr. Binkson, and so he went in there with us, with the lady and all. And so we got, and we did, I think, Dream, when that went well and all. Then we're going to do Eugene's favorite song, Stew Ball. He knows where I'm going with this. So anyhow, Stew Ball was a racehorse, and I wish he were mine. He never drank water, and it's supposed to be wine. And Eugene comes out, Coca-Cola. and I'm thinking, that poor lady, she's saying, is this the best entertainment my daughter could get? The two guys with the guitars can't keep the beat, because we're trying to do a 4-beat and a 1-beat there. And the old guy, he can't remember the words. So with that, Harry.
No, I gotta tell one more.
Oh, crap.
I gotta tell one more. So we were practicing really hard to do a Halloween show at T.G. Bailey's.
Oh, Lord.
T.G. Bailey's is where Yanni's Steakhouse was. It's empty now. It's in the what plaza is that? Fairmont Plaza. The far end, it was a steakhouse. We got hired to play for Halloween. We decided we were going to do impersonations that night. So I picked John Lennon and Jim Morrison. Those were going to be mine. Rodney picked Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. That's another whole night right there. And then Richie and Rodney did the Blues Brothers. And our old pal Larry here did Ricky Nelson and Elvis. We all spent weeks working on our costumes and our wigs and everything, getting it just right. And the rest of us were a little worried about what Larry was going to come up with, because Peter mentioned Larry is good with money. What that means is Larry is cheap. Some would say Larry is tighter than a gnat's butt on a lemon wedge.
That's tight.
That's tight. There was a time, by the way, I don't know if you can remember this or not, Larry, but there was a time back in the mid-early 80s when at any time I could ask you what the dollar amount was, and you could tell me how much money you had saved over the last 20 years by not getting haircuts.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
By cutting your own hair.
Absolutely.
He also hand dug his own swimming pool.
That's true, too.
That's also true.
Yeah.
He's tight. He's tight. So we were worried about his costume. What is he going to do? So we kept asking him, Larry, do you need anything? You need anything? You know, what do you need? No, I got it. But this is Elvis we're talking about. What on earth is he going to wear to be Elvis? So the day before the show, I get a call, and it's Larry. And he says, hey, just getting ready for the show tomorrow. He said, do you know anybody who has one of those machines that you use to make clothes flat? And I said, Larry, do you mean an iron? He said, yeah, I think that's what they're called. Do you know anybody who has one of those?
I had never messed with one.
I said, Larry, we have an iron you can use. And he said, why on earth would you guys have one of those things?
I never had used one. I didn't know.
So anyway, Larry showed up as Elvis, and he had a white leisure suit from his days at the Candlelight.
Her father's.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Charles White. No, it was
Like an off-white.
Yeah.
And it was Halloween time, so for the hair.
My dad was an Elvis, trust me.
Well, he was that night in your dad's suit. And he went to Walmart and he got black spray paint, not real paint, but black hair spray paint.
Yeah.
And he spray painted his hair, and he pulled off a heck of an Elvis that night. So, tip my hat to you, Larry. Now, Larry doesn't know this, but this is in honor of Larry. We have Larry Johnson EPs tonight. An EP is an extended play. There's not an album would have like 10 to 12 songs. An EP has 4 or 5 songs. So on this CD, you'll hear the Legend of Chalmer Barley, and you'll hear Koza's Grocery Store, and you'll hear Hey Dad.
Oh, yeah, Hey Dad.
Yeah, and you will hear the 2 songs that Peggy wrote that you sang on,
Okay.
and one of them that she recites the poetry on.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you'll hear the song Born in Alabama, which is on
yeah?
this. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And
My heritage.
in honor of Rodney, because this is one of Rodney's favorite songs, I also included the great 1986 hit, Kimberly.
That was for Kimberly Brigales.
That's right.
That passed away from AIDS over in Fort Pierce.
So I left them blank so that Larry could autograph them for you. So I've got the CDs. If you want one, they're absolutely free. They're absolutely free of charge.
They better be.
You're never going to find a better deal anywhere. I've got CDs. I've got pens. And Larry, you just sign these to your heart's content. If you want one of these CDs, I'm just going to put them right here.